Welcome to the Rump session. Huge thank you to Manasi Shingane, who's been working really hard behind the scenes for the logistics of the Rump session. Big thank you to our judges. May the judges come forward? Oh, I made a mistake. Okay. Yeah, so this is the first, on purpose, right? Just to be funny, I don't know. So it's not the first judge is incorrect. So it's Tomoyuki Morime. So thank you. And would you please convene together? And the second judge is Norbert Lukenhaus and Tobias Gehring. So just make yourselves comfortable, and just to let you know, these will be the judges that will award the prizes. No, oh, as you like. You want to be in the front? We'll give you a microphone though. Okay, good. Feel free to interrupt or whatever. I think we're ready to start. This is the schedule. Okay, so first speaker. Oh, no, we're not ready to start. Thank you. So, for those who missed it, because I announced the theme on Monday, right? The big reveal of the theme was on Monday, but if you missed it, you might be like, what's going on? So now you'll know. So QCrypt has had the friendly sheep be the mascot of the conference since the very beginning. This was the first ever QCrypt poster. And then what I said on Monday is that we are here in Maryland, where the mighty turtle is the mascot. So we are surrounded by two fantastic animals. So this Rump session is dedicated to celebrating the other mascot, which is the turtle. I guess we might have sheep also during this presentation. Okay, I think now we're ready. Please.
Okay, so the opening talk. This is a boring, fairly technical talk. I just wanted to raise an open question. I only have one joke for this presentation, so yeah, let's start. This is a slightly technical question, but in general for quantum information, if we expect that two states are close to each other, then their entropy difference should also be somewhat small, right? But the question that we want to ask is, how small is the difference between them? And this is answered by what we call entropic continuity bounds. Small technicality, I'll focus on what we call uniform bounds here. And in the case where your distance measure is the trace distance, there are some very well-known results here, the Fanes-Aldenard bound and a bound by Andreas Winter. So, okay, these bounds are known. Isn't the problem solved? Well, the problem is that nowadays, some of us are actually trying to plug actual numbers into this bound and compute actual values from it. And if you, yeah, I know, shocking, right, to an info theorist, but if you try and plot actual graphs of what this bound looks like, you end up with a shape that looks something like this. Or in other words, it is basically terrapin shaped. Sorry, that was my one joke. Anyway, okay, so what's the problem basically with this graph? And the answer is to do with the rump. Oh, second joke. We'll bill you for it later. Anyway, the rump of the terrapin, as you can see, the problem is that it grows faster than any linear function. This is what we mean by it's not a Lipschitz continuity bound. And this is bad for numerical purposes because it means if you want a tight bound, you need a really tiny trace distance. And how could we possibly work around it? Because these bounds, actually, you can't improve them much further. It's known. So we can cheat a little. it's not completely cheating by working with angular or purified distance instead, which is fidelity basically. And it's not completely cheating in the sense that for many applications, what we actually have is a bound on fidelity, not trace distance. And it's actually recently some works have shown by Pavel Sakatsky and Michael Liu that you can actually get bounds that are linear in angular distance. And this is much better for numerical work because the bound doesn't grow anywhere near as fast. But I cheated a little here because the second bound only works when the conditioning system is classical. We don't know whether it's valid for the case where it's quantum. And so I'm raising the open question here if people are interested, that we want to find a generalization of this bound to quantum conditioning registers. And I think for the theorists out there, this is potentially interesting in the sense that it does seem to need a genuinely novel idea. Like even to prove these two bounds up here, it used an argument that I guess I haven't seen before in existing approaches for proving continuity bounds. And to prove it for the quantum conditioning system, we once again seem to need a new approach. And from the application side, yeah, this would actually help our numerics. So this is a bound that would actually get used if we manage to prove it, at least by me, let's say. But yeah, so this is it for my first talk. And do we want to raise any questions, or you just find me later if you want to talk more about it? Sure.
Seems to have been the answer to your question.
Okay. Okay, that was the boring technical talk. Let's do the non-boring technical talk. Don't worry too much about it. Okay, now hopefully I got your attention with the clickbait title, but I promise you, unlike most clickbait, this title is 100% literally true. And what's the problem, basically? Oh, by the way, I'm going to focus mostly on QKD for my examples here, but this applies to the vast majority of cryptography protocols with an accept abort decision. So just because you don't do QKD doesn't mean you're immune to the problems here. Keep an eye on the principles I'm bringing up. So, okay, anyway, when we do a security proof, we would like to say that the output condition on accepting has some nice property, like the trace distance from some ideal thing is small. And as a corollary of this for QKD, this means the probability of an adversary guessing the secret key condition on accepting is also going to be small. We will also, like in the middle of the security proof, just to make the argument simpler, and let's focus on the IID case. You want to say that if the observed error rate is less than 5%, for example, then condition on this, the probability that the true error rate is more than 6%, that should be low, right? Nice, simple. These are good things to have in a security proof. The problem is that all of these are completely wrong. And I can give you an explicit counterexample to both of these. And that's just if we talk about BB84, we do an intercept resend attack. Remember that our old friend, the intercept resend attack, Eve is able to learn every single one of the secret bits that Alice sends. The only problem is that she will be caught with extremely high probability. But if you condition on the protocol accepting, Eve still knows every last secret bit. So the probability of her guessing the secret key condition on accepting is not small, it is 1. So what went wrong? And the answer is, I will first blame the second statement here. The correct version is the other way around. If the true probability is more than 6%, the true error rate is more than 6%, then the probability of observing a low error rate is small. And this is a very basic statistics point. If you mix up the two of them in an undergrad statistics class, the professor is going to kick you out. Or, okay, maybe let's be a little more realistic. Keys will probably pass you anyway, and then he'll go home and cry. Okay. Oh, just to make sure I offend absolutely everyone in the audience, the Bayesians, I know you're out there. I will throw down the gauntlet here and say that I think the Bayesian approach is strictly inferior in this case, in a certain sense. So yeah, we can fight this out later. For now, I'll just say that even if you have a Bayesian prior, these values are anyway not related to each other in general, that this is what we might call the base rate problem. And the first thing, what is the correct version of this statement? Well, if you read the literature carefully, what we actually prove is this bound up here, where there's a prefactor of the accept probability in front. And miraculously, with just this statement, we are able to obtain composable security. So this is a thing we can actually prove because you can show it's enough to prove that either the protocol aborts with high probability, or you can bound, say, smooth mean entropy, number of phase errors, things like that. There are some technical things to watch out for. Read this paper or come and see me afterwards. Okay, anyway, yeah, this is the summary. So I would like to sort of encourage us as a community to try and move onwards away from statements like those on the top and try to prove things that are actually correct. I know like more accurate versions of each of these statements that we can discuss later. So, and I talked about composability just now, but if your protocol is one where you don't have composable security, as an alternative to proving the priority of something conditional on accept is small, you can prove that the priority of something and accepting is small. So these are things that you can actually prove validly. And another thing that, another one is error correction protocol, similar statement, come and talk to me afterwards. The basic sanity check you should use for these is that you should check the trivial attack, the one that you are trying to catch with your accept condition. If the trivial attack falsifies the equation that you just wrote in your proof, cross out that line and write something else. So yeah, I mean, if we do it this way, we should move away from incorrect statements, and we will end up proving things that are actually correct. Maybe a minor concern, but it's nice to have, right? So yeah, I'm hoping to encourage us to move on from things like this. You can take a photo of this slide if you want any of these points. I'm very happy to talk to you afterwards and clarify what the problem is. So yeah, there we go. Thanks. I also have another non-boring technical talk for another time if you want to hear it at some point.
Thank you. The next speaker is Jan Kraus. Oh, I have it. Oh, so you want to use this? Sure.
Just have HDMI.
Oh, HDMI, yeah.
I don't need. So you mean for me?
Yes, please. You're not going to play audio?
I'm not going to play.
Why did the sheep cross? Why did the sheep cross the road? To get to QCrypt. Okay, I'm sure somebody can do better than that.
Thanks. Okay, yeah. Can you hear me?
42 pages is a little bit long.
You already found the first one. So hello, my name is Jan Krause. I'm a PhD student at Fraunhofer HHI in Berlin, and throughout the last more or less 3 years, I've been working on a time and phase BB84 QKD system. And this is mainly intended to be used in fiber, but here I want to present you some results that were created in the project UNIT in a collaboration with the Fraunhofer IOF. Actually, during these experiments that we conducted, there were also other institutes involved, but specifically what I'm showing here, just these two. Yeah, I want to focus mainly basically on the QKD system, not on the free space link and these telescopes, which were designed by Fraunhofer IOF, but yeah, only on our system. So we showed this 34-hour continuous QKD operation over free space hybrid link over 1.7 kilometers, and I want to show you. Oh, actually, here you cannot properly see how long 1.7 kilometers is. So let's have a closer look. So here you can see 1.7 kilometers is quite some distance. We conducted these experiments in the lovely city of Jena. You can see Alice was located in this turtle green container on the left side, together with a telescope for Alice. And the receiving telescope was located in this sheep white container to the right, which was located 1.7 kilometers apart. The link was over the city, so a considerable amount of turbulences were to be expected. So how to get any results of this? Basically, you log some PhD student, in this case that was myself, into that sheep white container and hope for the best. After 3 weeks, you measure the output and hope that you get some positive results. Kevin, who's also sitting here, I think you can share this experience. So before I want to show you some results, First, a quick look at the QKD system. If you've been at my poster on Monday, you've probably seen a more detailed version of that. Here I want to stress that for this specific experiment, we used no clock channel, so that was a clock channel free operation. That's actually what cost me most of the time to getting this to run. We were quite happy to be able to get some rubidium clocks from Fraunhofer IOF because our optical clock transmission was quite not working with the free space channel, which had too much fluctuations in this case. However, for the quantum channel, that's quite okay. So as I said, the telescope on Bob's side was not located at the same site as the Bob's device itself. So only the telescope was located in this container, and Bob was a couple of 100 meters away, which is quite nice because now we can draw in these 400 meters of fiber here and call this a hybrid link. So that's quite nice. And I also want to mention that we use this baby turtle 4 protocol, where you have either a turtle in the first or the second time in, or 2 with a pace of 0, fine between. Davida, I hope I cited you correctly here with a finite key analysis for the baby turtle 4 protocol. So looking at some of the results, this is basically the trace of the 34-hour continuous operation. You see at the top the key rates. We had free running single photon avalanche diodes, something in the range of 20 to 40 kilohertz detection rates per channel. And we used temporal filtering in order to reduce the impact of background noise and detector noise. You can see the QBER was mostly stable. There's some peak here in the middle part. That was where the corresponding of the telescopes was drifting a little due to temperature influences. The fine steering wheels were working in an active feedback loop, but for the corresponding, we still had to manually adjust. And I think this was during a time when maybe I somehow left the white sheep white container at a point. On average, we achieved a key rate of 433 bits per second, and this stable long-term operation was mainly made possible due to automatic system initialization, QBER feedback loops to keep these parameters for the state preparation optimum. We had operation during day and night, which is, of course, if you have it running for 34 hours, you automatically get that. And as I mentioned, clock-free channel operation. And with this, I want to thank specifically my system for not breaking down too much. Fraunhofer HHI, my colleagues Nino Valenta and co, Fraunhofer IOF, and our new turtles in the team, and you, of course. Thanks.
Next speaker is Jim Harrington.
Thanks. I'm Jim Harrington from HRL Laboratories. First, just a quick word from my sponsor. HRL is hiring a number of positions across the company, including some in quantum science and engineering. It is generally for US persons, but if you're interested or know anyone who is, please check out the website or come talk to me. So now for the main topic of sheep and/or turtle wanderings in Maryland. So for thousands of years, sheep have been portrayed as being prone to wander, even at times, being in need of rescue when they go out of bounds. So what are ways that we might model, this wandering around? A natural, perhaps model would be looking at a random walk in a two-dimensional field. So in the vein of considering a spherical cow, I got to thinking this week about wanting to consider a triangular sheep. This is allegedly is a actual road sign in the UK. And so why a triangle in particular? Well, it reminded me of the very first interaction that I ever had with a turtle. Perhaps some of you had the same in elementary school, and that was programming with Logo. Yes, the little triangle in there is known as a turtle. And then actually learned this week that the creators of Logo, prior to this being standalone software, they had actually built various iterations of physical robots that they wanted people, children in particular, to be able to send instructions to be able to move around the room, ring a bell, and so forth, have a pen go up and down to trace out patterns and such. So Logo is a very simple program set of instructions. Take a step forward, turn some angle, take another step, again, having a pen go up or down. And so, I thought about wanting to model wanderings around with this. So we don't have to restrict ourselves to a monochromatic screen like back in the early 80s. But, so what color palette do we want to consider? Well, given that we are here in the University of Maryland, why don't we follow the official colors of the school, which are derived from the Maryland state flag here. A special shade of red, gold, black, and white. And nicely enough, the University of Maryland provides the official RGB colors to use for such. So was playing around this week of thinking about these random walks in a two-dimensional field. We could think of some stream of random bytes coming in. All right, we have 4 colors to choose from, so let's use the first 2 bits for a color, and then successfully look at 2 bits at a time for, again, what angle to turn before you take the next step. And of course, these angles should look very familiar from something like, phase encoded BB84. And for instance, let's consider a full walk to be 64 bytes worth. So with the wonders of open source code repositories, there's been many implementations of Logo. And in fact, there's a turtle module in Python that you can use and just pull a stream of random bits and actually have turtles move around according to the rules just mentioned. And so we'll run here. You can even work with sandboxes on the web to run these. And so I've pulled out a couple of the random looking strings as inputs. In this case, this was a sheep/turtle that stayed rather close to home. Or sometimes they actually walk quite a ways away. And just one more for fun to run. Perhaps this one isn't quite so typical of a random string. So, so how can we really be sure that we have a good random input going in? All right, well, I've pulled up the latest announcement from the NIST randomness beacon, which takes multiple sources of entropy, combines them together, including a quantum random number generator in there. So according to the date and time stamps here, I would at least claim here that this is.
Time
is it time?
finishing.
Okay, then it wasn't for me.
No, unless you have a final.
Oh, unless I found Joe. So I will. I'll just leave with. Yeah. Okay. I will close there. Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Will Oxford. some of the colors were changed, but not on purpose, I swear. And also, I've corrected the name of the. Oh, I've corrected the name of the judge there. Apologies for that. Sorry, it's coming back. There we go.
All right. Great, thanks. So just before I start, I wanted to mention that right now, as we speak, there's another quantum conference going on right up the road here at the Stamp Student Union. And so I've been going back and forth between these two conferences all week. And unfortunately, I'm not able to be in superposition because people are around here to observe me. I tried to stay in the back, but I am quite macroscopic. So unfortunately, my coherence time is much longer than, much shorter than a couple of Planck times. But anyway, all joking aside, this talk has absolutely no redeeming qualities to it. So don't expect any wonderful results, but I'll get right into it. This is a quantum soliloquy with apologies to William Shakespeare. So to clone or not to clone, that is no longer the question. Whether 'tis nobler to harness fermionic feline species or to conjure up bosonic couplets, that is the essence from which outrageous fortunes are made. We furiously debate. We take up arms against a sea of hackers, and by opposing them, to what end? All of our secrets laid bare, lest they are certifiably expunged. To sleep, perchance to dream, that's what sustains us. But in that sleep of tenured death, what peaks are left to climb? What tomes may we yet scribe? Legends of vainglorious struggles, perchance, to crack the very code of nature, and in this venture attempt to uncover the fundamental truths of our existence. But alas, the sheepish endeavors of science are as yet incapable of evicting our underlying apperception. It's turtles all the way down. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. I wanted to add, for those who were with us at the last in-person QCrypt in 2019 in Montreal, we had a Rump session where the poetry talent of participants really shone, and William was one of them, of course, and he's kind of echoing that theme today, and we'll have more of that coming up, actually. Next speaker, Angela Shen, please.
Hello. Oh, is this on? Okay. Hello, my name is Angela Shen. This summer, I was in the NIST Summer High School Internship Program, and my project was to simulate a polarization entanglement distribution experiment while considering practical issues with the entanglement source, the optical fibers, and the detector. And I also wanted to thank Yi-Chen Shi and Oliver Slatty for guiding me through this project. That. Yeah, so I coded this simulation using Python, and over here is the experimental setup for the entanglement distribution experiment that my simulation models. So we have the source of entangled photon pairs, and then they go to two different locations, and then at these locations, we have a polarizer and a single photon detector, and then they go to time tagging and coincidence counting. So in my simulation, I use the Qiskit library to build my quantum circuit and to calculate the expected probability of each measurement outcome. So in my circuit, I have a Hadamard gate and a controlled NOT gate, and that creates the first Bell state. And then I also have a rotation gate and a measurement, and that's to simulate the rotating polarizer and the single photon detectors. So now the simulation generates two sets of pseudo timestamps according to a Poissonian distribution. And it takes in as input a configuration file with a list of parameters for each of the practical issues. And it also accounts for each of these practical issues. So we have ambient light. Sometimes ambient light can leak into the optical fibers and the optical components. So we added these timestamps over here that are unrelated to the entangled pairs. And then there's also optical loss. Sometimes photons can get lost in the optical fibers. So some of these get lost over here. And also there's jitter. So these single photon detectors, they have electronic noise, and that can cause some uncertainty with the arrival time of the photons. And there's also dark counts. So sometimes the detectors detect something, but there actually wasn't a photon there. So it adds a single dark count on the right. And these detectors also have a detector dead time, which is like a recovery period after it detects a event where it can't detect other photons. So what this means is that if you have two timestamps that are close enough together, it'll only account for the first one. Oh. So these are the output plots. So it takes the two sets of timestamps and it performs a cross correlation. And from this graph, it returns the coincidence count and the coincidence to accidental ratio, as well as the number of coincidences per second and the accidentals per second. And then it repeats this a bunch of times for the different bases to get the polarization correlation graph. And from that, it calculates the visibilities for each basis. And there's also some additional plotting scripts. And what these do is that they investigate how each of these practical factors impact the cross-correlation histogram, the coincidence to accidental ratio, and also the visibility. So as a conclusion, the simulation takes in various parameters for these practical factors. It generates these pseudo timestamps and performs a cross-correlation, and it returns coincidences, the coincidence to accidental ratio, and the visibility. And this simulation is useful for modeling various situations and lengths of optical fiber. And if you're interested, the code can be found in this GitHub repository. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Ayesha Rizwana.
Hello, everyone. I am Aisha from Center for Quantum Technologies, National University of Singapore. In today's talk, I will focus on an announcement of our efforts of building an optical ground station and specifying the general outline of an optical ground station. So we are building an optical ground station on our university campus for satellite to ground quantum communication. And the primary goal of this project is to implement different QKD protocols and entanglement distribution protocols with satellites. There are many universities and institutions are right now working on building optical ground station. And we know that building an optical ground station or a quantum satellite is a very intense resource activity. Also, the low Earth orbit satellite has a very short time period over the ground station. It is around some 6 minutes. So within this short time period, we have to perform our experiment. Now imagine, if we have multiple optical ground stations and our satellite is compatible with all these ground stations, then we can say that we have many chances to perform the quantum experiment. Also, in a distant future, when we have a global quantum network, it would be quite good to have the interoperability between the ground station and the satellite. However, there are certain engineering challenges to make these systems interoperable. And there are certain parameters that we need to specify. And with this effort, we are trying to do this specification in collaboration with University of Strathclyde from United Kingdom. The idea is that we would make these specifications for the optical ground station that would make the systems cross-compatible. At the same time, it would be a standard template for anyone who would be interested to build a ground station. So it is an open scientific approach. Whoever is interested is able to access this. At the same time, we are also in contact with the University of Bristol, IOF Jena, Germany, Fried Schiller University, that is also from Germany, Côte d'Azur University from France, and Technology Innovation Institute in Dubai. So all these different scientific groups are actively discussing with us to standardize the parameters for an optical ground station. And once these specifications are finalized, we will make it open source, and we hope that that would be a step towards a global satellite to ground station system. And I can see a very vibrant scientific community here. So if you are also willing to build an optical ground station in near future, you are very much welcome to collaborate with us. If you would like to know more about this, you can drop an email here. And just to go with the theme of today's session, we love turtles. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker is Luna Zhang. Are you going to use your computer? I also have them. Okay. This is like okay.
I really need it.
Yes, it's on presenter view, but I don't know. Is it supposed to be? Okay, you can check.
Hi, everyone. Okay, great. It's private. I'm Luna Zhang, a first-year PhD student working in Denmark. Denmark is a happy country, but sometimes things are a little bit off. For example, my Danish friends do not really understand tuition or legal drinking age. I'm here today because my supervisor asked me, "Do you think you are funny?" I hope I was not saying something serious before that question, but I find it very interesting. So I asked my friends, and then they say, "Well, knowing you, you do have a funny soul." And as encouraged by my supervisor, I can also aim for the worst. I love philosophy, which I did not put it on the resume to get this PhD position. Wearing the scientific researcher's hat, I can understand how that world philosophy can create a fuss. One time, an acquaintance of mine claimed that I actually do not understand quantum because I'm not able to explain karma to her. However, the passion people show about entanglement, uncertainty principle, and foundations of quantum mechanics is enviable, especially after days like spending in the lab, aligning optics, and processing signals on the computer. I can also add too many classical meetings on this list. In my first quantum mechanics class, the professor just spent 5 minutes, maybe even less, to explain what Schrödinger equation is, and then start calculating. While I was actually waiting attentively for the whole story about if there is a turtle carrying our world. The good news is that taking the past further, the fun things do come back. For example, on Monday, we talk about how to bring a mortified Schrödinger's cat back to life. Okay, a question that lingers is, what does quantum imply about our reality? After entanglement, it has been confirmed the non-local realism of our world is revealed. What else can we say about reality? Anton Zellinger would say that this confirmation of entanglement has put the reality itself at stake. At the as the distinction between reality and our knowledge of reality, between reality and information cannot be made. There is no way to refer to reality without using the information we have about it. So ontologically speaking, our reality is a virtual reality. The reality we experience, we perceive, and we observe, including that observed through experimental instruments, is a virtual reality. I omit completely here. And this is actually in line with what Niels Bohr would argue. He argues that the phenomenon is the primary unit of reality. Once I dig deeper into Niels Bohr's archive, I found that deeply influenced by Kant and Kierkegaard. He is actually a philosopher besides a physicist. So is there an underlying reality, meaning that if there is a turtle that bears our world? And then he would argue that there is no quantum world. There is only an abstract quantum physical description. It is wrong to think that the task of physics is to find out how nature is. Physics concerns what we can say about nature. What is it that we human beings ultimately depend on? We depend on our words. We are suspended in language. Our task is to communicate experience and ideas to others. With that, I would like to thank the organizers for QCrypt 2023 and the University of Maryland. I wish you all a good evening and thank you.
Thank you very much. Is quantum crypto ethical? I mean, we shouldn't start. I'm not going to start.
Oh, yeah.
You can decide.
Oh, sure. All right, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Amin. I'm a student at the University of Maryland. I don't primarily work in quantum crypto, but in the last few days, I got a chance to listen to some talks about quantum crypto. I'm kind of shocked that nobody raised the questions that I'm going to raise today. So let me start. So firstly, I don't understand, as parents, why don't we treat quantum computers as equal as classical computers? Why do we have, why do we expect them to factor integers, for instance, when we know classical computers suck? Another question that I have is how is quantum money different from classical money? Even in the classical money setup, the banks are only allowed to mint money. Why don't we allow pedestrians to mint their own money? And so we could end all the world problems related to poverty. People love learning with errors. I vouch for learning without errors. We all know. We know Eve is a little weird, but let's give her a chance, at least once. Also, people are let's stop distinguishing vectors based on their heights. That's body shaming. These days, we have had a lot of violent crimes, and most of them are burglaries. And here we have a lot of quantum key distributors in the audience, willing to distribute as many keys as there ever been. I request them to distribute their own keys and not mine. I vote for quantum key protection instead. So if you like this idea, please join me so that we can make one-way functions two-way again. And by the way, every talk ends with an advertisement, and so this will be. If you're going to sell some quantum money for classical real money, so please find me. Thanks for your time.
Okay, I have to gather myself here. Oh, are you ready? By Wang Yang, Mike Wang, who also distinguished himself in 2019 at QCrypt.
you.
Are you going to use?
Yeah,
sure.
Oh, that will work. Okay, so thanks a lot for Professor Broadbent's introduction. I'm Wenye Wang. You can also call me Mike. I'm from the University of Hong Kong. So I guess before I begin, I actually hear a very nice suggestion from Professor Broadbent, which is to say this year we have sheep, we have turtle, then why not we make them a quantum superposition state and make it better? And so I did. So this is actually what it looks like. I actually generated with Stable Diffusion, Novel AI, and with UMD Turtle as the reference. So if you like it, hopefully this could be the mascot for the Rump session for the next coming 5 minutes. Okay, so let us begin. And so basically, why is it Limerick? Well, as the professor said, last year, actually the previous in-person QCrypt in 2019, I also attended it, and the theme was actually about Limerick, and me and also Dr. Will Oxford over there actually won the best Limerick prize. So this was actually the Limerick we had back then, which was actually about quantum computers, quantum networks. So we were actually presenting about asymmetric protocols for MDI QKD and also TF QKD, which was our previous work, and we also presented it at QCrypt 2018. Now you might actually notice the weird hat over here. That's because that year I was being too formal and actually brought a lot of technical research results. So I actually won the title of the boring guy. So I got the honor of wearing the clown hat. So this year I'm going to go all out. There's no academic results. It's just fun stuff. So I'm going to present a limerick as well as a song. So this is actually the limerick that I wrote on passive QKD, which we presented on Tuesday. So I'll read it. So quantum systems cannot be hacked, except modulators leave a crack. Just interfere those lights and measure out lows and highs. A simple design brings safety back. And here's also the Chinese version. So may I read it? So 量子密钥安全固，设备表征研究忙。脉冲关联易泄密，木马工程难阻挡。双光干涉声波动，本地探测亮光强。人云无为胜有为，现实安全进步长。Maybe my Chinese friends down there might be able to attest to it that this is actually talking about QKD and not some gibberish. And all right, so you might actually wonder, then where's the turtle? Well, I thought about it, so I actually just decided to write something else about turtle. And in Chinese, which is actually my mother tongue, when you talk about turtle, people think about the 4 divine animals, which actually stands for the 4 directions of north, south, east, and west. And the guardian of the north is actually Xuanwu, which is actually the divine turtle. It's also known for its longevity and durability. So I actually wrote a song about it. This is actually a rewriting of a song that I really like from almost 10 years ago. So the melody is the same, but the lyric I wrote it about QKD. You can see there's a turtle inside, and actually it's more or less a metaphor for QKD. You see the dragon flies across the continent, like the QKD satellite, and the divine turtle stands guard for thousands of years, like QKD security and forward security that we're talking about. And we talk about the moonlight and sharing the secret words in your heart, just like quantum communication. We did it in the night. We're not exactly using moonlight, but we are using light to travel our thoughts to our friend far away. So I think I'm gonna sing it, if I may. 兴隆游遍天下，是否也会有心中牵挂？玄武守望天涯，约定的千年就如一刹那。
窗外寂寞月华，会不会照亮远方的你呀？心中想说的话，愿明月悄悄送达。Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow, what talent. Judges, anything to say? You want to vote? Is this like America's Got Talent? 10? Oh, no, nothing right now. They're very silent, keeping to themselves. Next speaker is Minky Han. I think I introduced you in the first session this week too, no? Second time I introduced you this week. Are you looking for the microphone?
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm sorry for giving a very boring talk. Okay, I talk about some recent research about Shor's algorithm. We showed the Shor's algorithm is optimal among the generic algorithm in the generic group model. Yeah, it seems like good. So yeah, we extend it to the much more general setting, like if we do the classical operation, quantum operation, classical quantum hybrid setting, we also show that Shor's algorithm is optimal in that setting. So I was happy. I have a nice paper, and I arrived QCrypt with happiness. But it turns out that life is not that simple. Yeah. After giving my first talk at Monday, Oded Legev uploaded a new archive paper claiming that, he has a better quantum factoring algorithm than Shor. What's going on? Yeah, it appeared in Monday night. What? Yeah, it seems like a contradict to my talk and my paper. So, what? Yeah, that's okay. It's about the factoring, but our lower bound is about the discrete log. But he says he has a similar idea to the discrete log. Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry. It is the only place that I can put the tolerance shift, so I put it, yeah. So I have some kind of obligation. I got an obligation to check the detail. So I checked. Yeah, but actually, like currently do not have a discrete log algorithm, but let's assume that he have an algorithm. I checked the detail and it seems generic. Actually, Legeb agreed about it. So according to my paper, there should be no improvement. But according to his paper, there should be improvement. Yeah, it turns out that he used some specific property of multiplying some group operation is faster than the other operations. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's good. It's okay. Both papers are good. Yeah, thank you. It is achievement up there.
Thank you. Our final presentation, Christoph Markert. Is going to tell us about somebody else's solution. If somebody uses a goat instead of a sheep, then they lose points.
Let's do it like that. Yes. So, yeah, thanks. This will not be a fun talk. So actually this picture, as far as I know, is real, right? So I cannot guarantee that any of those animals didn't get hurt. But so what I wanted to do with you today is a little bit interactive. So what I discussed with some of you is also that, sometimes in quantum key distribution, when you talk to people that maybe at some point want to deploy it or not or whatever, there appears to be some problems or some questions to be solved that actually are not really addressed by the community. And sometimes it's because the community doesn't know, but also sometimes is because either people think it's too hard, or it's too hard for myself, or actually it's not really rewarding, right? Because it's nitty-gritty detailed work, and so but I don't do it. Maybe it's not good for the career, whatever, right? But there is, of course, you can learn from world literature, and there we know there's somebody else's problem, but there should also be something like the somebody else's solution, right? So what one could think about is, for example, lobby some politicians to give some money for some prize, yeah, for solving some challenges. But how to define those challenges? And usually you don't want to define them such that it's kind of the big problems you want to solve anywhere yourself. But the idea is that you ask yourself, okay, what do you see as a very important problem that somebody else in the community can solve, right? So, and then I thought, okay, maybe we can just come up with some of those things, and that, we can do this very quickly. You can just yell at me. What would be very nice if somebody else could solve something, right? That you probably don't want to solve on your own, right? And to make it a bit more interactive, I have a little puzzle here, right? And I will open that puzzle, and at the end, the first one who finds out where exactly that picture was taken will get a free beer, right? So any ideas? Anything that you think somebody else should really solve? With QQD. P equal NP. With QQD, okay. Anything else? I mean, I have one thing I have been asked, a formal security proof of QQD from A to Z, right? All in there. I think I should open 2 of those slides. Any devices? Yep. Yeah. Good. Pardon? Okay, I will just open the slides. Anyone for a free beer? Yes. Who's that? You won the free beer? Here we go. Thanks a lot.